Hi guys, welcome back to Apt Electronics. I'm Chef Susan with BlueStar Appliances, and I'm here with Becky Staven. She is the HR director at Apt here. We are doing a Mother's Day theme, so we brought a mother in to cook with us and bake with us today. And so we're going to learn a little bit about her as we go through. We're going to talk a little bit about BlueStar, the brand, and our appliances, and hopefully teach you some easy recipes to cook on our appliances. Today we're going to focus on a Mother's Day brunch. So we've got something sweet and savory. We've got an overnight bourbon, pecan, bread pudding, French toast, however you want to prepare it. And we have a broccoli and feta frittata that we're going to make for you guys. So we're going to kind of jump into it and start cooking, and we'll talk with you guys on the way. So I'm going to have you go ahead and bring this bread over here. And we want to cut this bread into 1-inch cubes. And you can leave it like this if you want, or you can cut it into cubes. I like cutting it into cubes because it absorbs that liquid a little bit better. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and make the custard.
Perfect.
And you can use that knife right there. And Becky did ask me about knives before we got started, and how to, what's a good brand. And I tell people whatever feels comfortable in your hand. If you're using your knife a lot and it's too heavy for you to hold for an extended period of time, you can develop injuries with your wrist. Some people like to have a single piece of metal. Some people like where they have the handle separate, and it's all in what you prefer. I like to use a global knife. It's very lightweight, but they have a lot of knives here in the appliance, the
gourmet shop.
Gourmet shop, thank you, that you guys can come and check out. And some stores will actually allow you to test their knives out too. I don't know if you guys do that here or not, but they'll pull out a cutting board with vegetables and food and things like that, and actually let you test the knives out so you find something that's comfortable for you. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get the custard going and get everything mixed up in here. And then if you kind of want to tell us a little bit about what you do here.
Sure. I am the HR director, as she said, so my day is never boring. There's always something new going on. So we do hiring and benefits, payroll, all that fun stuff. And we're always hiring. So if you're looking for a job, come join us. It's a lot of fun.
I bet. And I bet you see all kinds of fun stuff here.
Oh yeah, all kinds. But it's never a dull moment, and my day is never boring. So it's nice that it's always something different.
And how long have you worked here?
I have been here for about 15 years.
Wow.
So
that's one thing that I have noticed, is that most of the employees that I talk to have been here for extended periods of time, which tells me it's a great company to work for and people really enjoy their jobs.
It is.
Seems like a lot of upward mobility within the company.
It is, and we're really big on promoting from within. So, someone could start as a cashier, and then the next day they could be one of the managers of the department. So we're really big on promoting from within too, and seeing our employees grow throughout the years.
That's wonderful. And you have a lot of families.
A lot of families.
A lot of family members working together.
A lot
too,
of families, right? Moms and daughters, dads and sons, siblings, spouses. So.
That's wonderful.
Although my husband wanted to work here, and I told him no.
You need a little. Need a little space,
I need
right?
a little bit of separation from you. So yeah.
I get that. I love you, but not that.
Not that
all
much.
Day, every day.
Are these good sizes, Susan, you think?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
And then as you cut, if you need room on your board,
I probably will.
I'm going to have you spray the baking dish over there with the Pam so that this doesn't stick. And
this right here?
Yeah. So spray the bottom and the sides of that, and then the bread can go right in there. We're going to pour the custard over. I'm actually doing 6 full eggs, and then we're going to do 3 egg yolks. So this is a very rich custard. That's going to be the base of this. And the thing that I love about French toast or bread pudding is whatever you like can go into it. If you like chocolate, you can put chocolate in there. If you like apples, you can put apples and cinnamon, things like that in there. And it's very versatile, very easy to make. And for Mother's Day, the beauty of this dish is that you can make it the night before and let it sit, and then put it in the oven the next morning.
So what makes it more of a custard, like bread pudding base? Just how many eggs you use, or is it
It's a combination of the eggs and the heavy cream.
Okay.
So we'll show as I'm whisking it, it'll actually really thicken up as opposed to when it's just dipped in milk. It's a little, I don't want to say watered down, but it's a lot thinner when there's not the whipped cream in there.
Okay.
And then as it gets whipped, it actually thickens up. So I've got 6 eggs and 3 egg yolks. Save your egg whites for a good healthy omelet.
I was gonna say, after the French toast, you can eat healthy.
Yeah,
the next
exactly.
day.
Or if you want to keep baking, you can make meringues out of it too.
And this is a good recipe to make like the night before, the day before.
Yeah, so it's going to have to sit in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours, if not overnight. So,
Okay.
like for Christmas, my son and I used to do, it was a caramel French toast.
Oh,
So
yum.
it was always made the night before so that I can sit and enjoy him opening his presents and things like that. And then just take it out, let it sit, and then pop it in the oven. All right, so I've got 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of heavy cream that's going to go in here as well. And I like to always add about ½ a teaspoon of salt. When I'm doing something really sweet, it actually kind of enhances it and evens out the flavor. Okay, and then we're gonna I'm gonna have you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You can grab any of these, and I'm gonna have you actually micropine. This is fresh nutmeg, which lasts a lot longer. I always encourage people to buy the whole seeds and then grind them up either in a little spice grinder or in a mocolette and actually grind it up, because it's going to stay longer, and then the smell of these is amazing. That's probably one of my favorite smells, is fresh nutmeg. So we're going to do about 1/4 of a teaspoon, so you're just kind of great for,
Just eyeball it.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. We're doing 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm doing 3 tablespoons of good bourbon. If you don't partake in alcohol and you don't want to put that in, you can certainly leave it out. This is a smoked maple, so it's a little sweeter, and it brings a little bit of complexity with the smokiness of that.
I could smell that nutmeg.
Doesn't that smell wonderful?
It does.
We'll do 1 teaspoon of, a tablespoon of vanilla. Okay.
Do you want me to get the brown sugar?
That would be great. Here is
I think this is a half a
half
cup.
a cup, yeah. So we're gonna put 1/2 cup in here, and then we're gonna sprinkle 1/2 cup, the other 1/2 cup on the top with some toasted pecans.
And
so,
packed?
Yeah, you can do packed. I'm gonna break up these eggs real quick while you're doing that. So how many kids do you have?
I have 2. I have 3-year-old twins.
Oh. Oh, you got your hands full, huh?
I do.
You can
But
go ahead and get that in.
they're a lot of fun. They like cooking with me. So
Oh, that's wonderful. And this is
Everything-
something you could definitely cook with them.
Yes,
Maybe
everything-
not the bourbon, but
yeah. I'll save that for myself.
Exactly.
Everything takes a little bit longer with them, but it's a lot of fun seeing them interested in it, because it's something I love so
Yeah.
much. So they love to stir and crack the
Aw.
eggs. So
I love that.
it's fun.
So, and I know a lot of people in the industry, because I've been in culinary for a long time, and how they talk about they grew up in their grandma's kitchen or were cooking with their mom.
Right.
And the fact that they loved it so much that they carried it on. I think that's the best gift that you can give somebody, is to teach them something that they love to do and they stick with it.
Yes, that it was kind of a tradition passed down from my grandma and my mom, so that's kind of why I'm
Aw.
carrying it on with them too.
That's so nice. That's wonderful.
Maybe we'll have a future chef one day.
There you go. Come here and do videos.
Right?
All right, so we got the custard done. And then if you want to bring
me to
that
bring this
closer
closer?
to you.
Sure.
And then we're just going to kind of pour this over, and then I'll have you grab 1/2 cup of brown sugar and sprinkle that over the top,
Sure.
and then we'll finish it
I will come around on this side.
with some pecans. You guys want to try and coat this as evenly as possible so that every piece of bread gets that gooey custard. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and, with the spoon, kind of just make sure that these pieces that are on top are going to get coated. And the nice thing about this is that that bottom layer is going to get super custardy, and then you're going to get these really nice crispy bits on top, and then the sugar is going to almost kind of brulee. So you'll get that, like when you do sweet potatoes and you put brown sugar on
That's
them,
the
and they
best
get all
part.
bubbly and yummy.
The best part.
All right, that should be good.
And if we don't have a nice dish like this, can we just use like a 13 by 9?
Of course, you can
Okay.
use like a 13 by 9 cake pan.
And just sprinkle away?
Yeah, just you want to use a whole cup, and you just go all the way over
Whole
the
cup
top.
or just a half a cup?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, the whole container.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole 1/2 cup.
Get every little last piece.
So we're gonna bake these in our platinum oven today, which is, our platinum range back here. So this range actually has 25,000 BTUs across the front. We've got a small pot simmer on the back, so it allows you to put small pots and pans on there if you're melting butter, things like that. If you want to simmer soups and stews and things for long periods of time, you can move that back there and just let it sit for hours. You're not going to get any scorching on the bottom. These little grates, when we go back there, I'll show you guys some more, but the oven that we're gonna go into is a true European convection. So it's got the heat source behind the fan, so it pushes that heat into the cavity. So you get very quick preheats, you get better efficiency and all of that. And then we're just gonna go ahead and, it's about 1/4 cup, but if you kind of grab a handful and just kind of sprinkle those over the top.
Do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Exactly.
For good measure. Okay.
All right.
You want me to grab it?
We're going to actually put some foil on this. So this actually needs to sit in the refrigerator for about 6 hours or overnight. Like I mentioned, it's great to just prep it the night before you go to bed, and then throw it in the oven, because you need to allow time for that bread to kind of soak up the custard. I do typically, when I make this, I slice the bread ahead of time and I let it sit out sometimes overnight to kind of let it get almost a little hard, stale, if you will. And then it takes longer for it to absorb that custard, so you don't have super mushy bread on the bottom.
Can you speed up the process? Like, can you dry it out in the oven, or like,
yeah,
have you ever done? Okay.
Yeah, you can throw it in at 350 and just put it in like until it feels kind of toasty.
Okay.
And then finish it from there. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this into our built-in fridge over here.
Do you want me to grab the?
Sure. All right.
Oop, I should have opened the other.
No, that's okay. Okay. All right, so that's gonna sit, again, like I said, for 6 hours or overnight, and the next morning you're gonna take it out, and you want it to sit out for about a half an hour. So we've got one that we've let rest for a little bit, and this then is gonna go into the oven. So go ahead and put this in. It's gonna go in there with the foil on it at 350 degrees. You wanna bake it for 30 to 35 minutes, and then you'll take the foil off, and then you'll let it sit for another half an hour. You wanna get that crispy bit on the top, but we don't want it to dry out on the top, so that's why we cover it. We let it bake for a while to make sure that everything bakes through, and then when you pull the foil off, it'll get that top nice and crispy. Okay guys, so this has been in here for an hour. We took the foil off, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the oven. And you really wanna let this sit for a little bit because it's gonna be piping hot. So here's your, and then in a little bit, we're actually gonna make a bourbon pecan syrup that's gonna go over the top of that. So we'll let that sit. We're gonna make the frittata next, and then we're gonna go ahead and work on the syrup at the end. Okay, so this is a broccoli and feta frittata. Frittata, like your French toast, your casseroles are so flexible. You can put whatever you want in them, vegetables, meats, whatever. I thought I would do one healthy and one not so healthy dish. So I'm actually gonna cut this broccoli pretty small because when we saute it in the pan, we want it to cook up pretty quick. So what kind of foods do your kids like to eat at 3?
Oh, mac and cheese, peanut butter jelly, chicken nuggets, all the classics, right? They do love breakfast for dinner, so that's a huge hit.
Oh, nice.
I don't know, one day I just had this eureka moment. I'm like, why am I trying all these things that they don't like? And I'm like, breakfast, who doesn't love breakfast for dinner?
Exactly.
So we'll do waffles, pancakes, French toast, so that's always, they love that. They love when it's that night, so yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome.
And ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream?
Especially for dinner.
I'm the cool mom, no. So yeah, definitely awesome. we went through the phase where they would eat anything and then they became picky. So at 3 years old, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's nice though when you try and expose them to,
all
things
different.
Here and there. I mean, our taste buds change so much as we grow up. It's, know.
And that's what we try to do is give them a little, like something of what we're eating, and so.
Yeah, I used to tell my son, you don't have to love everything, but you at least have to try it.
Just
and then
try
if you
it.
tell me you don't like it, then I don't have to make it again.
Exactly.
Or I don't have to
Don't
make
waste
it when
your
you're
time.
home.
Right.
Which was always a challenge. The funny thing is, you talked about mac and cheese. My son, when he was in high school, he wanted to make his girlfriend dinner for Valentine's Day. And it'll probably kill me if he hears this, but he had his girlfriend at the time. He wanted to make her dinner, and he wanted to make her Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh my gosh.
And I used to make it in a way where I would make the sauce ahead of time and thicken it up before I would put the pasta in.
Of course
And it
you did.
tasted different. It tasted better. So he made it for his girlfriend, and she said it was the best mac and cheese she ever had.
I wonder if it still is. How old is your son?
Almost 30.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's actually getting married a week from tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
So
Very
yeah,
exciting.
They've tried 3 times and COVID shut them down. And
So
then a
it's
week
finally
before
happening.
the week before their last, when it was rescheduled, 4 days prior, they both came down with COVID.
Oh no.
So everything had to be changed and postponed and all that. So finally happening.
Yay.
Hopefully we'll have beautiful weather.
Oh, I'm sure. It's
So-
a good time to get married. My anniversary is May 21st. So
Oh, wonderful.
there you go.
Happy anniversary early.
Thank you.
So while you're finishing the egg base up, and she's doing, basically this recipe has eggs, some milk, some garlic, which we're leaving out, and some scallions. Again, you can put whatever you like into it. That gives a little additional flavor. And the broccoli and the feta will give it some kind of body. So I'm going to actually take this back there, and I'm going to get this pan preheated while she finishes the egg, and then we can move back here.
I think I just had eggs, milk, salt, and pepper.
Yes.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay. So I'm using a cast iron pan for this. It's very well seasoned. I'm actually putting this on our 25,000 BTU burner, which is going to preheat this pan pretty quickly. And then I'm going to just add some olive oil. We want to get the broccoli sauteed so that it's about halfway cooked, because it's going to continue cooking in the oven and in the eggs. So we've got our pan preheated back here. I'm going to go ahead and add all this broccoli in.
Ooh, that sizzle.
One of my favorite sounds. And this is going to cook down, but you really want to make sure you have enough broccoli to fill the bottom of your pan so that everybody gets a bite of that broccoli. Go ahead and grab a spatula here. And again, we just want to kind of cook this for a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, to make sure that it's not raw when you eat it later. Retain that gorgeous green, keeping all the vitamins in the broccoli. Because this is the healthy portion of our brunch. And then to that, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of salt. We've got salt in the egg mix, so we don't need to add too much, just a little bit. Some cracked pepper. And with this burner here, you guys can see it's a pretty high burner. I've got this on medium, and we're already getting some beautiful browning on the broccoli. So super efficient. When I move it around, everything is cooking at the same, because we've got that the entire flame coming up to the entire bottom of this pot. So for people who love to cook, this is a perfect range for them. Give it maybe 1 more minute. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Give a little sprinkle in here. And this is going to add a little smokiness, a little richness to the frittata, a little added flavor. If you're using garlic, that would go in now too. You can saute some garlic in here. And the scallions, actually, if you use those in the recipe that we post, those will go in the egg mixture.
Is that just so they wouldn't burn if you put them directly in the pan? Or
Yes.
what? Okay.
Exactly. And scallions are fresh. You almost use them kind of like an herb. And typically those you want to put on at the very end. Okay. All right, I'm going to have you go ahead and pour your egg in. The nice thing about this is that we're going into a really hot pan already, So the eggs are gonna start cooking immediately when they hit the pan. You wanna make sure that you have your oven preheated to 450 degrees, and so that when this is at this point, it's gonna go in the oven. The last thing we have is some feta cheese, and we're gonna go ahead and sprinkle the feta cheese on there.
I will grab it for you.
I think it's in the fridge, in our beautiful built-in fridge. And you can use as much or as little of this as you want. I know
Want me to
some
just
people
throw it on top?
Yeah, just kind of crumble it over the top. And it adds just a creaminess and kind of a saltiness to each bite.
How much is in here just so I don't go overboard? I love
Yeah,
feta.
just go all the way around the edges, and again, it's a personal preference. I love feta. I love pretty much any cheese. I could not live if I didn't have cheese.
Do you usually buy the block of feta? Like, do you find
do.
that? Okay, it's
I
more
do.
fresh, or
Yeah.
how's that? A little bit more?
Well, and I'm also not with the feta, but with that's good. And with blocks of cheese, if you have gluten intolerances or somebody has celiac in your family, and you don't want to buy the shredded cheese because the coating that's on it to keep it from sticking together in the bag
Interesting.
is like it has some sort of wheat in it.
Okay.
So it's really bad. So I always buy blocks of cheese because if I'm cooking for my family, then I can just grate it fresh.
Right.
I'm gonna grab my towel so we can put this in the oven.
It almost seems like it holds moisture better when it's a block rather than when it's shredded.
For sure.
Melts easier.
So this is gonna go into a 450 degree oven for about 15 minutes. And you guys can see, I don't know which camera we're looking at here, but you can see that around the edges here, it's already starting to cook. So it's just to continue cooking the inside of that egg. And then we'll turn that off. And while that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and get set up to do the syrup to go on top of the French toast. Okay, so to go over the bread pudding, we're doing kind of a pecan bourbon syrup, if you will, kind of a sauce. So we're actually gonna do that. We're gonna kind of get everything prepped out here, and then we'll take it back here, and then we'll go ahead and make that syrup. So I think I'm gonna have you start with the butter and the
Sure.
brown sugar. So
Sure.
that is you need that whole stick of butter.
Okay.
So half a cup of butter and then 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar.
Perfect.
And then I will get these spices. So confused. Grab another little bowl. So I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And you can buy the regular ground, like I mentioned. I just prefer having the whole nutmeg. To me, it has a different flavor. Lasts longer if you don't use a lot of nutmeg, which typically a lot of people don't. But if you make bechamel for your mac and cheese or anything, you can put fresh nutmeg in there.
Yum.
Just gives it a little freshness. And then you can go ahead and take that back.
Sure.
And then we're going to use this right here.
Perfect.
And then so we want to do this kind of on a medium. Because we don't want to
Burn the.
brown the butter, and then you can adjust that as
Perfect.
you need to. So we want to melt the butter first, and then we'll add the brown sugar. So it's a little more work to do this to grate it all, but
And then do
it's
we have like a
entirely worth it.
spatula or something? Or
yeah. Actually, what did I do? Oh, let me wash this one real quick.
oh, I could do it. I got it.
Okay, and then a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we'll do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Excuse me for running all over the place here. And then our wet ingredients is going to be let's see, half a cup of heavy cream. And then about 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup. I buy this Crown maple syrup. It's bourbon barrel aged. It tastes amazing. Costco used to sell it in a big bottle. They don't anymore, but it's worth finding it. And then we'll do 3 tablespoons of bourbon. Again, if you don't want to have the bourbon in there, you don't have to. And then we'll do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I've mentioned this before, I make vanilla extract from scratch. You can buy an inexpensive bottle of vodka or bourbon, whichever one you prefer. and get some, you can get the beans that are, you can actually buy the pack of beans that are already slightly split. They're kind of like B version of the vanilla beans, and just split them and put them in your bottle, and then you want to turn this upside down like once a week. You want to let that sit for anywhere between 4 and 6 months, kind of in a dark area, and then you have vanilla. And this, you know, I paid $7.50 for the vodka. I might have spent $10 on the vanilla, and I have probably 6 or 7 times what you would get in a grocery store for probably $14 or $15. Vanilla is super expensive. So once I get those, I'm going to go ahead and add my spices in here.
It's looking good over here and smelling good.
Awesome. I'm going to come back with this, and we'll add this. Okay. All right, let's give it like maybe 1 more minute so that the butter becomes a little more incorporated.
Okay.
And then we'll turn it down, because anytime you add cream to sugar, it bubbles up when you're making caramel and things like that. So you always want to be very careful adding this in. Turn it up just a little bit.
I think it's this
Good
good.
bubble. So we can get a little bubble action going there. We'll check our timer real quick on our. So we got about 7 minutes left on the bread pudding, and we'll be good to go.
Now, what's a good tip to make sure you get your timing of everything right? I know that's the biggest thing when people are cooking. They're like, how do I get my timing like right so everything's ready at the same time?
I actually sit down and plan out.
Okay.
So when I do large events, like if I do catering or I'm doing a big Easter dinner or something like that, I will sit down and say, okay, I'm making a ham. It's going to take 6 hours. So then I know I have to preheat my oven at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I actually chart everything out.
Okay.
Whether it's appetizers, meals, any of that kind of stuff. So like with this, since the bread pudding takes an hour, and then you'll take probably another 15 minutes to make the sauce, I would get this in and let it hang out. When I take the foil off of it, I've got about a half hour. I would start this, because by the time you saute your broccoli, you get your eggs, and you get it into the oven, it's going to finish. And the bread pudding really needs to sit for a while too. So even if you bake that and let it sit and then did this quick,
You still have enough time.
but the important thing is planning things that you can cook so you're not overwhelmed.
Right, right.
So, all right, so this is bubbling. I'm going to go ahead and slowly add this in, and you'll see how that kind of sizzles up.
Do you want me to turn it down at all, or are you okay?
No, we're good.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty. Do you want me
And
to
then I'll give you this if you want to.
Sure.
And I'm going to grab some pecans. So we're going to add 2 cups of pecans to this as well. And you want to make sure that your sauce is incorporated before you add the pecans.
Do you want me to give it a stir, or is it?
Yes, please. Get it all incorporated.
Ooh, I wish you could smell this. I really wish you could smell this on camera.
They always say that on these cooking shows too, right? I
Oh
wish
my
you
gosh.
could smell this.
Yes. Now, if you don't use all this, how long could you let it sit in the fridge? Or have you never had that problem?
Not typically. No, but it'd probably be good for a week.
Okay.
Yeah. With the sugars in it, I probably wouldn't let it sit for too much longer than that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cups. We're going to eyeball this. There's 1. There's 2. Beautiful.
Almost looks like pecan pie.
Exactly. Minus the corn syrup.
Yeah.
We got the good bourbon in there instead of the corn syrup. You see it's kind of thickened up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So we'll let it go for about 30 seconds, and then once that's finished, then we'll go ahead and plate the bread pudding so everybody can see that. Okay, we are at the moment of truth. We're gonna go ahead and plate this. Get some nice crispy bread pudding out of here. And then I'll have you do the honors with the syrup.
Ooh.
And you can also put some vanilla ice cream on here, or some heavy cream if you want. A little orange zest is really good on it too. It kind of brings out those flavors. And I am gonna have you go ahead and taste it.
This is really why I wanted to
The
cook
moment
with
of
you.
truth.
Yeah.
While she's eating that, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the frittata out, because she's gonna have to try that one too.
Mm-hmm. Delicious.
frittata. You got that nice melted cheese, a little bit of browning on top.
It smells
And really,
delicious.
this is ready once it's not jiggling in the middle. You can let it get as brown as you want, but I kind of like to take it out about this time so it doesn't dry the eggs out too much. So let me go ahead and cut a little piece of this. Okay, let me rinse the spoon off real quick. Forgot to bring a spatula.
It's so pretty how it gets that nice brown around the edge too.
Yeah. And you could finish this off with a little bit of parsley or some fresh herbs on top if you'd like. It's gonna be a little hot, but I would love for you to try this.
Okay, if you insist.
Hot. She's like, hot, hot, hot.
The feta on top is the perfect addition. It brings it all together, so.
Awesome.
Delicious.
Awesome. Well, Becky, thank you so much for
Thanks for
cooking.
having
I had
me.
so much fun with you. I hope you guys will try these recipes at home and let us know what you think of them. We will be back next month for a Father's Day with some sliders and some loaded baked potato you can make for your papa. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video and hope you all have a great day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.